Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else, welcome to this week's roundup of Chamber live streams for the week of June 23rd to June 30th, 2025. Boy, do we have great stuff lined up for you. An awful lot of very contemporary works, which will include electroacoustic work, interactive choirs, but also early music cantatas, very classic works coming out of London and Bydgoszcz, Poland. What I suspect is a comic new song cycle coming out of Chicago, and a gay pride celebration in DC, all in a week's live stream. So before I go any further, let me remind you, if you're watching this on Facebook, please like the video. If you're watching this on any of our other 6 platforms, please follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on YouTube, X, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and or LinkedIn. And we'll continue to provide you more than 1,000 live performances online every year. That's what we did in the past year, which was our first year of operations, starting last June, and that's what we're getting started to do again for this year. And I can't wait to get started with telling you about this week's live streams. The first of which is coming up very soon, and it's kind of a mass celebration that's going to be going on in New York City. Before I get to that, let me mention to you, if you've been following the Rachmaninoff International Piano Competition, which was all sort of along the lines of chamber music last week, because they were playing piano as individuals, and then in the second round or the third round on Saturday, they accompanied singers. And this week they are all playing the 8 finalists in that piano competition. They're all playing concertos. So formally, that's not chamber music anymore, but it's happening right now. And we have put up the information about that on all of our platforms. So you don't have to watch this live. You can come back and watch this replay in the recording. But if you want to catch those things live, then you want to get on over there to the Rachmaninoff International Piano Competition on YouTube. Or at the same time, St. James Cathedral in London is live streaming an organ recital by what seems to be a fabulous, multi-talented organist, Sarah Svensson. Little Sarah Svensson from a rural town in Nova Scotia, all grown up with multiple degrees in music from the University of Toronto, and Yale University is doing a live stream right as I speak at 7 o'clock in the evening European time, 1 o'clock in the afternoon Toronto time, and 10 o'clock in the morning on the West Coast in the U.S. I don't know what she's playing, but we put up a separate clip to promote that live stream because she just appears to be a formidable creative force in the form of a human being, an attractive one. So let's get on now to this first. The next of today's live streams, which will be coming up later in the evening. Kind of late for Europeans to watch, but lovely times for those in the U.S. Tuesday, June 24th, Roulette Intermedium Theater celebrates Terry Riley's 90th birthday with 2 contemporary works by Claire Chase, The Holy Liftoff and New York City in C, with a large gathering of contemporary New York City musicians. That'll be at 8 o'clock New York time, 5 o'clock in LA, 2 o'clock in the morning here in Europe, and 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, Wednesday, down under in Australia. The 2 pieces they're doing, Claire Chase composed The Holy Liftoff in 2024 as part of her Density 2036 project. And but the other piece, New York City in C, apparently that's presented annually at the Roulette Intermedium Theater for the 21st time this year, and it was composed back in 1964. So now they have a whole gang of instrumentalists, improvisers, composers, technologists, and vocalists, whom we are told make up the experimental music ecosystem in New York City. So there's drums, percussion, several pianos, several guitars, bass, flute, couple of clarinets, four saxophones, trumpets, 3 trombones, several cellos, violins, 5 or 6 people on electronics, another half dozen on voice, an accordion, a lap harp, and visuals and live stream directed by Joshua White and Joshua of Joshua Light Show. I can't give you the names of all the people, but you can, if you go to the link that we give you, you can find all their names in advance to see if some of them are your favorite accordionist or percussionist or harpist or lap harpist or whatever. So it looks like it's going to be a very robust contemporary celebration. If you like now music, well, this part of it will be pretty now because it was just composed in 2024, and part of it will be what was absolutely now back in 1964. So that's what's going on for you today. A piano competition, a great, what is sure to be a great organ recital, and this wild, massive musicians coming together in New York City. So let's move on to the next of today's offerings. And I just clicked the wrong click and opened up my Hotmail instead of opening up my notes. We move from today till well, I do want to mention something that is going on Wednesday, and I'm not sure if it should be classified as chamber music or as organ music. And I talked about it in detail in the organ recital roundup that I just did. Wednesday, June 25th, Art Bene is live streaming a concert by organist composer Alexander Udaltsov of Bach's Circle of Friends and Acquaintances for organ, flute, and cello. That's at 7 o'clock on Wednesday evening European time, 1 o'clock in New York, 10 o'clock in LA, and 8 o'clock in the evening in Moscow. That's Udaltsov is a composer and organist who is and he has assembled a concert of Bach and his circle, including Frescobaldi, Gluck, Muffat, CPE Bach, Handel, and others for organ, flute, and cello. And this will include things like Bach's Toccata, Adagio, and Fugue for organ in C major, BWV 564, Gluck's Melody from the opera Orpheus, arranged for flute and organ, a sonata for viola da gamba and organ by Bach, number 3 in G minor, Handel's Trio Sonata in D major for flute, cello, and organ. So, yeah, I think you could call that a chamber music piece. And the photo that I have up there has nothing to do with that at all, because I'm just adding in this thing from the organ recital live stream roundup that I did just about an hour and a half ago or 2 hours ago. So let's move on to the more squarely the early music offering that we have for you this week. And that's what that picture's about. Thursday, June 26th, Gotham Early Music Scenes, Midtown Concerts, live streams the Harmonie Collective, singing rarely performed cantatas by Telemann, Boismortier, and Handel. That's at their usual 1:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 10:15 in the morning on the West Coast, and 7:15 in the evening here in Europe. The Harmonie Collective is Rocky Duval, the soprano, Andrew Blank on the oboe, Caroline Nicolas on the violoncello, Carolyn Koster on the harpsichord, and Kevin Payne on the theorbo. That early music instrument. And they consider that these works are often overlooked by singers and oboists alike. They don't tell us which of the cantatas they're going to be playing. They may release that program later in the week, and I'll probably put out this description as a separate clip. when we get to Wednesday or Thursday, as a reminder to those of you who love early music, that this is another one of these high quality Gotham early music scenes Midtown concert productions. Thursday, June 26th, show up or blow up. To tell you a little more about the, well, no, we will move on now to something a little later in the day. And this will be a very interesting live stream, I think. Coming to you from a place that I don't always, I don't always have something to bring you from there, but I do this time. Thursday, June 26th, the Rothko String Quartet performs works by Low-Residency composition. Let me start that again. Thursday, June 26th, the Rothko String Quartet performs works by composition students in the master's degree program at the Peabody Institute at Johns Hopkins University at 7:30 in the evening Eastern Daylight Time. Now, usually I don't promote student works here, but these are student works which are being performed by a very fine string quartet, the Rothko String Quartet. They were founded in Lüneburg, Germany, in about 7 years ago, 2017. And two of the members are Justin L.A. on the violin, William Overcash, who's a violinist, Mark Kopitsky on the viola, and Jakob Nierentz on the cello. And Justin L.A. and William Overcash were both studying both early and contemporary music, which confirms what I keep telling people, that there are people in our time who bring together the two margins of classical music, the early music before it became what it became, and contemporary music, which is after what it became and they feed off of both currents at the same time, and that is what the Rothko String Quartet is doing here. So they specialize in playing the music of marginalized composers, contemporary composers, and lesser known works of classical music by well-known composers. And they're also interested, like Gene Pritzker at Composers Concordance, who is much more wild about the way he does it, in dissolving the boundaries between musical genres. So they regularly perform at places like the Dusseldorf Festival, the Podium Festival, Esslingen, and this year they debuted at the Schleswig-Holstein Music Festival, the Thüringer Bach-Wochen, the Bach Week, and the Mozart Fest in Würzburg. So, these are students in the low-residency program at Johns Hopkins, which means they do 4 weeks to begin the residencies, then they do everything else virtually, and then they finish up with another 4 weeks in person. Very much a hybrid 21st century way of getting educated, if you ask me. So now we move on to the next event, for which I think I do have a photo. I don't know how I overlooked the photo of the Rothko Quartet. Sorry about that. This next one is, again, is on Thursday. Thursday evening in New York City, June 26th, Roulette Intermedium live streams composer and vocalist Holland Andrews performing their improvisational score about tapping into the voices of ancestors and unseen forces. That's right. That'll be at 8 o'clock in the evening, New York time, 5 o'clock LA time, 2 o'clock in the morning here in Europe. And the point of tapping into these forces is to combat the forces of fascism around the world. So there is a political, sort of a left-wing political context to this. What Holland Andrews does is she uses operatic and extended voice techniques to build what she calls cathartic and dissonant soundscapes. and arranges music out of that for voice, clarinet, and electronics, highlighting themes about vulnerability and healing. So she has been recognized in publications like The Wire, the New York Times, Le Monde in Paris, and BBC Radio. She has worked with artists like Bill Jones, Dorothy Munyaneza, Will Rawls, Sonia Taye, and others. She's done film scores for Rebecca Hunt's Biba, which was nominated for an Independent Spirit Award, and for Sophie Compton and Reuben Hamlin's Another Body. So this will be, if you're into now music with vocal techniques, this will be about as now as it gets, folks. So she doesn't look very happy there, but it's hard to tell. She just looks intense in that photo, I think, which, given what she does, I can understand how there's some intensity in that kind of performance. We're continuing with works that are being performed at Roulette Intermedium, because they had 3 or 4 things going on this weekend. One of them was jazz, so I don't cover jazz, but here's another one coming up, and this will be on Friday. And once again, it's Roulette Intermedium. The electroacoustic chamber group, the Fuse Ensemble, is joined by Pamela Z in a performance of Speech and Silence, an alternating series of live music and short films by artist Edgar Endres, Friday, June 27th, and a Roulette Intermedium live stream. Fuse Ensemble is a concept-based electroacoustic chamber ensemble. They work with sculptors, poets, filmmakers, and artists who are both analog and digital, and they've been around for 18 years, so something must be working. And this will be an alternating series of live music pieces, many with spoken words, and then these reflective short films created by Edgar Endres. And it will include, the musical works include works by Nicole Mitchell, Brittany Green, Gina Beaver, and Pamela Z, who will be joining the ensemble when they perform her piece called Ways of Looking. The ensemble will include flute, a couple of clarinets, violin, cello, piano, percussion, and vocals and electronics. Now, Fuse Ensemble has been performing since 2008. They premiered works by a number of living composers and original films by people like Edgar Endres, the Also Sisters, Michael Edwards, Connecticut. They worked on Connecticut installations by sculptors like Howard Connolly, Norbert Attard, Jeremy Thomas Kunkel, and Pamela Z's Way of Looking is it combines live electronic processing and sampled sounds to create these sonic layers. Now, you can say to me, John, how can you call this chamber music? Well, Pamela Z's Ways of Looking, which they'll be performing as part of this evening, was commissioned by the Los Angeles Philharmonic Association. So, I mean, I can't ignore it as being classical. You can ignore it if it doesn't interest you, but if you want to know what the most now music being done today is, well, this is about as now as it gets, folks. So that's that. That'll be on Friday. And we're not done with Roulette Intermedium. I think there's one more. But before we get to that, also on Friday, now we get back into early music and very classical music. Saturday, June 28th at 7:30 European time, Ars Sonora TV live streams Bach being played on period instruments by the Andrzej Schwalbe Musica Antiqua Orchestra in Bydgoszcz, Poland. It's hard to get more classical than this, folks. And that's a picture of, I hope I put up the picture for you. Yeah, of that ensemble with the singing ensemble, which will be part of this. This will be performed at the Church of Our Lady, the Queen of Peace in Bydgoszcz. And if you know anything about Poland, they're crazy about their churches. They absolutely love their churches. And they have a lot of churches to marry Our Lady, the Queen of Peace, among others. So there'll be 2 sopranos, a countertenor, a tenor, and a bass, and then also an ensemble vocal group called the Exploratori. They'll be doing 2 pieces: Bach's Suite in D major, BWV 1068, and his Magnificat in D major, BWV 243. So, and by the way, the author who created the BWV catalog was born in Bydgoszcz. How do you like that? So, this group is let me get the name right again. The Musica Antiqua Orchestra is mostly composed of graduates and teachers from the Bydgoszcz Academy of Music. And the entire production is being financed from European Union funds, which I want you to mention when you talk about it. So there you have it. You can go from extremely now music at Roulette Intermedium Theater in New York City, and then later in the same evening you can be seeing a live stream from Bydgoszcz, Poland, of period instruments playing Bach. The magic of live streaming and what it enables us to do and what it enables us to share one after the other just amazes me sometimes. And now we head back. To the Roulette Intermedium Theater again. Saturday, June 28th, Arone Dyer brings her interactive vocal ensemble, the Dronechoir, to perform her ast interactive musical experience called Moat, live streamed free of charge by Roulette Intermedium Theater in New York City. Arone Dyer's Dronechoir. There's a picture. The picture you have there is of her alone. But what she does is she has this choir, which is she brings vocalists together from diverse backgrounds to perform an unrehearsed a cappella piece, and she's giving them musical cues and movement cues through earphones. So moving different specific singers closer or farther apart from each other, or closer or farther apart from the audience, and creating them in different positions in the space. And so they can get very close to the audience and create a more of an interactive experience in which the audience feels immersed in what's going on. So this particular ensemble has how many members in it? Let me count for it. It's got Arone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 singers are going to be moving around as directed over microphones, performing an a cappella piece, which they have not been able to rehearse. So this, once again, this is complete now creation. Could not have existed beforehand. And I'm telling you, watching a recording of it afterwards is not the same thing. Because by then it's frozen and it's dead and it's predictable, and you know. The only time you can actually experience a performance like this is when it's happening. But the truth is, the only time you can really experience any performance is when it's happening, not watching some recording. That's just my little Access Arts Live speech. Now, I do want to mention, while we're on the subject again, also on Saturday, there is an organ live stream, which may interest you as chamber music. It's Saturday, June 28th, Art Bene live streams a concert of European-wide music with organs and vocals, with Ekaterina Getzeleva on the organ and Ksenia Odintsova, the soprano. And they'll be playing music by Bach, Cherubini, Pergolesi. For instance, they'll start out with a Bach prelude and fugue in C minor. BWV 546 by that guy from Bydgoszcz. And then they'll do the Cherubini Ave Maria. They'll do the Arietta by Perivale. Then another Bach choral prelude, Vater unser in Himmelreich, Our Father in Heaven, etc., going up and back between Bach chorales and preludes and different operatic pieces, mostly from the Baroque era, but I think they also include some César Franck and Louis-Claude Daquin, the French composer. So that's also on Saturday if you want something more traditional than an interactive now music piece. We have a couple more that I want to tell you about before we're done for this week. As I said, it's a very interesting one, and the next one is a song cycle, which I believe it's comedic. And sorry, I didn't get a chance to cut this issue down, but this is a photo of the composer who actually launched a GoFundMe fundraising campaign so we could get this thing off the ground. Saturday, June 23rd at 8:30 p.m. Chicago Daylight Time, the Second City Comedy Troupe's in-house composer and pianist, Michael R. Oldham, unleashes his new song cycle called Common Romance in a Constellation Chicago live stream. That'll be at, as I said, 8:30 in the evening Chicago time, 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast, it's 3:30 in the morning in Europe, but 11:30 Sunday morning down under in Australia. This Common Romance tells stories of relationships, and endings of relationships, and beginnings of relationships, and summer flings in the form of vignettes. And the author or the composer says, it's a journey of self-discovery, asking questions, second-guessing, moving forward, and hoping that every relationship we go through isn't all for nothing. So there's a band that will be playing with piano, drums, guitars, violin, bass, with several violins, cello, and viola, and several performers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 performers singing and acting. Michael Oldham, as I say, is with the Second City National Touring Company, which is all comedy, but he did study film scoring and composition at the Berklee College of Music, and also briefly studied at the Philippos Nakos Conservatory in Athens, Greece. So the guy is, a composer. But if he's with Second City, it's going to be a gas. So there you go. And apologies to Michael Oldham if my showing his fundraising on GoFundMe bothers him. I just thought it was kind of funny. All right, we have one last live stream that I want to tell you about. It's not really chamber music, but I didn't get to it when I was talking about concerts, so I want to toss it in here. All right, Sunday, June 29th at 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the National Orchestral Institute Philharmonic is putting on a concert conducted by David Dansmeyer, the chief conductor of the Oregon Symphony Orchestra. And it's a gay pride sort of celebration because they will be performing Viet Quang's John and Jim, which is a piece of music based on the relationship of John Arthur and Jim Obergefell. And Obergefell was the titular plaintiff of the Obergefell versus Hodges 2015 Supreme Court decision that legalized same-sex marriage across the United States of America. That was done by the U.S. Supreme Court. That's right, all those old guys with gray hair, although there are now also some younger women who don't have gray hair. Anyway, they will also be doing after that Richard Strauss' Suite from Der Rosenkavalier, Opus 59, and his Ausgangssprach der Zarathustra, Opus 30. Since I didn't mention this when I was doing yesterday's roundup of orchestral music, I did want to mention it today, and I hope you don't mind. Folks, that's what we have for you, all of the things that we have for you this week in terms of chamber music, early music, classic chamber music, and very, very now music, with 4 different live streams coming up at the Roulette Intermedium Theater. I hope that one, some, more, or any of these live streams uplifts you, inspires you, or just shows you a heck of a good time. And I'm sure that Common Romance is going to be a heck of a good time. And anyway, before I leave you, let me remind you, if you are watching this on Facebook, please do like the video. If you're watching on any of our other 6 platforms, please follow and or subscribe to Access Arts Live on YouTube, Instagram, Threads, X, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And with that, I will be saying au revoir for the rest of this week. I'll probably be back on Friday with the highlights for the upcoming weekend. And I may do some special coverage of the CBU Theater Festival, which is ongoing now, and which has a lot of content online, digital content. The problem is that when I looked at their digital website, I could not figure out what was live streamed and what was recorded. And we only promote live streaming because I'm a firm and fanatic believer in the power and the glory of that moment of truth and beauty when the living performers are pouring out their hearts, minds, and souls to thrill all of us. Those of us in the in-person audience and those in the remote audience. And so it's a social event. And that's not the same thing as a Tuesday afternoon when you just feel like digging up a recording and watching it all by yourself. You're not a part of anything. There's no other audience members you're sharing it with. And the performers are gone. They're gone fishing. They're having lunch. They're visiting family. Who knows what. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. And I'll look for you. Look for me at about the same time, about 7 o'clock in the evening European time, 1 o'clock on the East Coast, and 11 o'clock on the West, 10 o'clock on the West Coast, Friday at the